Building downtown. Building downtown.
Building downtown and Rear Naked Choke Radio have hooked up again. So you can assume if you've listened to any of the recent Rear Naked Choke Radio shows or any of the first 10 Building Downtown shows, we're going to talk about some MMA. UFC 248 is coming up in just a few days, so we're going to go after that. I am Jason Kelly, the host of the Building Downtown. Joe Rizzo is the host of Rear Naked Choke Radio. You can follow the Building Downtown on Twitter at the Building DT. Subscribe on YouTube and all major platforms like iTunes, Spotify, all them. The Building Downtown. Rear Naked Choke are at RNC Radio on Twitter. Joe is Rear Naked Choke on Twitter, and it's Rear Naked Choke on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all those places as well. Before we get into some MMA talk, Joe, how you doing?
I think I'm okay. It's good to be back. Good to talk to you. I'm not in my usual site at the moment. I'm at the hockey rink, so that's always nice too.
Yeah, we had to figure that out first. Get away from the sticks and skates so you could talk some fists and feet. I like that. Slick. I've been watching some battle raps tonight.
Yeah, that was pretty slick. I'm a little scared, actually.
Oh, yeah, I'm coming fresh off some live MMA. I was at BTC 9 at the Odd in Kitchener, Ontario last Saturday with Kirill, my co-host. Next week, we're going to be doing more of an event recap with some of the fighters from the show. Kirill will be joining me as my usual co-host because he was there that night covering the event with me. It was an awesome show. Jesse Ronson won the main event against Troy Lampson. Troy Lampson was recently on Dana White looking for a fight. He was the loser, and it's the first time Dana has ever talked to the loser. So, they had their eye on that. And Jesse Ronson, Team Tompkins guy from way back, the body snatcher, already had a stint in the UFC. His stint was Kevin Lee, and I forget who the other two were, and he took them all to split decisions. So we may see him back in there. And Adam Asenza took out Cody Pfister. Cody Pfister, former UFC fighters, Cody threw his spit bucket into the crowd in between rounds. His corner left water on the ground, and he slipped and fell, and he couldn't get back up because Adam had him pinned there, Adam Asenza. And when he got up in between rounds, he flipped out. He grabbed his spit bucket and he threw it into the crowd. I thought that was going to start a fucking riot. All in all, it was a good night, though. So you should look forward to that recap. Just truck right along in the UFC 248 here?
Let's talk about Ronson for a second. He did jump on Twitter right afterward, trying to get Dana White's attention and, trying to get himself back into the UFC. And that's good. Like, that's what you want to see. If you're, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter if you're in, like, the GTA, if you're in, New York metropolitan area or wherever you're hearing this from. It's cool to go to your local MMA fights, your local scene, and to see some of these men and women that are putting it on the line there, and then to have somebody like Ronson who follows it up by like kind of doing the right thing, like jumping on social media, trying to get everybody's attention, like saying, "Hey, look, I just won, give me a shot here, let's go." I mean, that's good stuff. You like to see that, and it's even more gratifying when you followed some of these people, before they were big timers, and then you see them on your television screen or you see them in one of the big arenas and stuff. So I don't want to gloss over that. Like that's good. Like Rear Naked Choke Radio, I know like over the years we've done a lot with stuff like that where, we followed some of these people in the local scenes and the GTA and New York, and down to like Atlantic City and stuff like that. And look, I mean, a good example recently is Caitlin Chukagian. I mean, I've said it before on the show probably a zillion times, but I'll say it again, and I'll say it on for the Building Downtown people. I watched her like at practice one day before she had even her first amateur fight, and I was like, wow, this girl is like incredible. Like, I got to talk to her. Who is she? And it was at the time, she was at Tiger Schulman's, which was, and Jimmy Rivera was, and still is the big guy from there. But, like we were usually there to see like Jimmy or Lyman Good or something like that. And Caitlin just like popped off the chart, and so we got to know her, and she used to come on the show all the time, and even before she was a pro. And then, a few weeks ago, she fought for the title. It didn't go her way, but, that was that
cool journey to watch.
A little extra special, So I don't want to gloss over it. Good stuff.
Yeah. And Troy Lampson, who Jesse Ronson defeated, obviously the UFC had their eye on him. He's a young guy, not real young. He's got, I think, 16 fights now, and he's probably like mid to late 20s. But I won't be surprised at all. There was, he showed glimpses going against Ronson too. Ronson's probably the best guy in Canada in any weight class not signed to the UFC right now. So and veteran wise too, Ronson's been around for a long time. That was a lot to go up against. And he came to Ronson's backyard, basically. Ronson's from London. It's 45 minutes away. So Troy Lampson's another one to keep your eye on. I won't be surprised if we see him in the UFC one day. And everyone that night shined. All the fights were good, which was nice. And it was cool to be back in my old field again, covering some MMA live on site.
I know, it's good stuff, and I heard you had a good experience there. We were talking a little bit throughout the night and afterward, and it's good. It sounds like they put up a good show over there. So if you're in the GTA, you should definitely check it out when they're putting on their shows for sure.
Definitely, and then you can watch these people fight on cards such as UFC 248 this weekend, headlined by Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero. Or do you want to dig into the female fight first?
No, I mean, is Israel Adesanya, like, is he taking a heel turn now? Like, what's going on? Like, he's all of a sudden, like, everybody wants, this guy dead, and they want Yoel Romero to win, and usually, like, Yoel is not, especially, like, if you watch the fight against Tim Kennedy and you like Tim Kennedy, you don't feel like Yoel is such a sympathetic character, but, like, he certainly appears to be in this fight, because I don't know what's going on with the champ there. Like, is he losing it? Like, is he just trying to promote a fight, or like, did he just really screw up?
Well, I take it you heard about the World Trade Center comment. He's going to make you all crumble like the Twin Towers. Yeah, that was.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was brutal. That was really harsh.
And then he's not backing down from it now. Like, apparently, like, he kind of apologized, and then he's not backing down. So I mean, what is it like? Like, is he taking the heel turn?
Yoel has always been a charismatic guy that people liked, but it's things like the missing weight. There was the whole thing when he was accused of taking performance-enhancing drugs, and then he was cleared of it, and then he sued them for $24 million or $27 million or some shit. But once your name's muddied up like that, people mostly pay attention to he tested positive, not he was cleared, right? So I think that's where he's got caught hate over the years. But now, how can you hate the guy where he's fucking 42 years old? Look at this thing, right? And he's never been a rude person or shit-talking person. And it's like the no for gay Jesus. That's another thing. People don't want to hear what he actually did say. They're just like, no, that guy called Jesus a fag. Like, you know what I mean? It's just people. MMA fans are very strange fans. Very. They hold on to the weirdest things, and they don't want to hear the truth on other things. So I think that's where Yoel's hates came. And Israel. Especially this fight going down in the States, that was the wrong comment to make. So
I
don't know if it's an intentional heel turn. I just think it's the way things are going right now. Do you think Israel? Oh, that's another thing too. Apparently, Israel has staph on his arm, and he's not taking antibiotics, doing anything about it.
Well, then he's not going to be able to fight, because nobody's going to clear him if he really has that. So we'll see. I mean, if that turns out to be an issue, that's really regrettable. But until these things actually prove themselves out, it's wait and see. I mean, we got to assume that there's a fight, right? So if there is, I mean, here's a funny thing though. Like, just if you want to talk about Yoel Romero and the age that he is, so I'm assuming that we do have like a pretty fair crossover of people who, maybe have at least a little bit of interest in hockey. And even if you don't, you might have seen a story a couple of weeks ago where when the Maple Leafs played the Carolina Hurricanes, both of Carolina's goalies got hurt, and the guy who's quote unquote the Zamboni driver, which he kind of is, came in and he had to play half a game, and he won. Like, and he actually works for the company that owns the Maple Leafs, and he won the game for Carolina and Nets. And David Ayres is now this like celebrity superstar or whatever, and everybody's like, oh, long story short, the way that the emergency backup goalie thing works in the NHL is it's worth like the 30-second explanation that I'm going to give to you. I am going somewhere with this, Jay. I swear to God.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
so the way it works is for every NHL game, the home team has a bunch of goalies that are contracted. They're people they usually they'll sometimes practice with the home team as like an extra guy. They're not like novice goalies. It's not like they just got literally a guy who just drives a Zamboni and has never skated before. Like these guys, they play a little bit. They're just not NHL goalies. And what they do is usually they have a small pool of people and they give them tickets to the game. And in case there's an emergency where you carry a regular goalie and a backup goalie, and if there's an emergency and you gotta go to this third goalie, that you're allowed to activate this player for the game essentially. And that's exactly what happened. What never happened is that a guy actually won the game. So the point is, this guy's a novice goalie compared to NHLers, but he's not a novice compared to like other hockey players. And they're like, well, look at this guy. He's 42, and they're talking about his age and everything else. And I'm like looking at that, and I'm like, holy shit! Like Yoel Romero's 42, and he's like fighting for the title. like he's like legitimately like going after this, you know what I mean? And everybody's talking about David Ayres is 42 and he's like this goalie and he's coming in and like we don't know how good or bad he is. He was obviously decent enough to win a game, but he's 42. Like
Yeah.
and Yoel's 42. Like just for a little perspective. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's a good. I see where you went somewhere good with that actually, because at first I was wondering where the fuck you were going with that.
No, I know. I mean, it is an absolutely great story.
Oh, it's
like
a Disney
really
movie.
great. I mean, yeah, it is. It's like even better. And the guy, like, just now I'll just harp on it a little bit. He was a kidney transplant recipient in 2004. Like,
I know.
how many
It's
times
just
is this guy gonna hit the lottery? Like, that's just. I mean, so you go from being, just some guy in his late 20s, like needing a kidney transplant. The guy's probably had a million conversations with himself, like, am I gonna live? Like, and now, like, not only has he lived, like, he gets the kidney, and then like he gets to be this guy. Like, man, that is just like, life's good, my brother. Life's good.
Yeah, for him, for his family. His wife is all over Twitter, right? She's turning like a Twitter celebrity.
Oh yeah, she's great. We were just talking about it here because I'm actually at my daughter's hockey practice, and we were talking about the David Ayres thing like just a few minutes ago, and they were saying, oh yeah, his wife seems to be really funny, and she said something, whatever. I'm like, yeah, she tweeted "fuck me" as soon as he went into the game. Like, fuck me with 9 exclamation points after. I said to the other parents, I said "f me," but like on the air, I'll say the bad word for everybody because I know you guys like it. And if the same parents want to hear it, they could download the show wherever you find podcasts. Anyway, I think Yoel's going to win. Is that crazy?
No, I kind of feel that way too.
I don't know why. Like, I feel like he's going to win. Like, I know like when he's kind of gotten up to these spots where he's leveled up a little bit, it hasn't really worked out well, but I don't know. I just feel like Adesanya is just off for some reason. Like, I just feel like he's vulnerable in this moment, and if you show any vulnerability against Yoel, that's the time that he always comes out on top.
Well,
I don't know.
Anyone that fights him, win or lose, looks like they just fucking got in a car accident afterwards. Yeah. He takes a lot out of you, and if you look at what happened with Israel and Kelvin Gastelum, Israel can't have one of those wars with Yoel Romero.
No, he'll be on the wrong side of it if that happens.
Fuck yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, he's still he still should be like favored to beat him. I just feel like it's maybe one of these things where all the stars are aligning in the universe. Like maybe the David Ayres thing, and like now Yoel Romero will do like something other great, for 42-year-olds, and that'll give you something to look forward to for the next couple of years as you become an old bag. So
I'm on my way.
Did we do enough on that fight? We both feel like Yoel could pull the upset. What about?
I'm thinking so. I have a real I shouldn't say bad feeling, but a strong feeling that something's off about Israel, and Yoel's more than just a grappler. He's a goddamn savage. Did you see the backflip he did at the press conference?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Hat didn't even move. His hat didn't even move. What the fuck? Holy shit. So yes, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and I'll let you pronounce the other one's name. We're back to this shit again. Zhang Weili. Yeah, it's good to have you around. You can pronounce names much better than I can.
That's all right.
Champion Weili versus former champion Jędrzejczyk.
I was surprised that the line is like really close. Like Jędrzejczyk's only like a very, very small underdog, but I don't like this fight for her at all. Like I think she's
Fuck no.
I think she's like way on the wrong side of this one. Like I mean, I don't doubt her because like she's got a lot of heart, you know, and she's not just gonna like, you know, she's not gonna give up. But I don't like this matchup for her at all. I think the champ keeps the title, and this is one of those cases too, where like you see a champ and they start defending titles, and if you look at the money lines for the fight, you know, the betting lines, this might be, you know, especially if she wins, this might be the best price that you're going to get Zhang at for a while, because
if she wins, she's off to the races. She's off to the races. Yeah.
So, wow, this sucks. Me and you agreeing on too much. Well, we're doing a truncated kind of show here. We're just getting one on the board because it's a big event, I think, and you know, giving people a little prep for some of the stuff Building Downtown's going to do next week. But you know, the next fight on there is Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose, and like. Klose's nickname has to be No Ear, right? Like, do you get that?
No.
Oh my god.
Why No Ear?
Oh my god. And no, like the.
Oh, like the Noir.
Yeah.
Noir.
Yeah, Noir, No Ear, Noir, whatever. I don't know. You're better at pronouncing names and words than me.
One of us is lying.
So I don't know who's gonna win that fight, but every time I see that dude's name, I just think like he must smell like very strong cologne.
Yep. From the first time I saw his name, I was just like, oh, Drakkar Noir. That was like one of the very popular brands when I was in high school. That Calvin Klein CK1, Calvin Klein Obsession,
Ralph Lauren Polo, Obsession, Yep.
There was a lot of there was the 90s. Just fucking douse yourself and hello to the roller skating.
I have no idea who's going to win that fight, but I know Beneil Dariush is really good, so I'll pick him. What about Neil Magny versus Li Jianliang?
Li Jianliang is very I shouldn't say underrated, but he flies under the radar, especially over here. Neil Magny's a fucking beast, but Lee. Every time I see him come out, I'm super impressed, and it's because of those things. I don't see him or hear from him until I see him on a card, right? Like it's not like I'm watching his interviews or anything, right? So and he doesn't get huge coverage over here, but so when you see him, he comes to fucking go down.
Who do you take there? I mean, like you got to feel like sometimes Neil Magny just. Like I feel like he could beat anybody, but I feel like he could lose to anybody.
He just lost to Ponzinibbio. He got knocked out, and that was 2018. That was the last time he fought. November 2018.
So I don't know.
That's a year and a half off.
Give me something on that. I mean, he should be recovered from the knockout, but you never know how somebody's going to be after that. I don't know. Let's go with Lee. I'm going to go with Lee on that one.
I think I kind of lean in that way, too. I bet you on the betting line, Lee's probably the underdog.
Go ahead, take a flyer. What about Alex Oliveira?
What about Alex Cowboy Oliveira and Max Griffin?
The other cowboy, yeah.
Other cowboy.
I mean, Oliveira should take this one pretty handily, I think. This just reeks of like he wins by unanimous decision. Like 30-27. Like Griffin hangs, you know. but Oliveira
Sean
just...
O'Malley? Is he
Well,
still on
that...
this card?
Is he what?
He's still on this card? Because
I think he is.
the last few fights, I know he's been dicked around. I just didn't know if this is one of the cancel ones that has been updated or if he's still.
From everything I know, O'Malley's fighting
Nice.
José Alberto Quiñónez in this.
Nice. That kid's exciting. That kid's super exciting.
I love O'Malley. He's one of the guys that I want to watch. Like that's the main prelim on ESPN.
Yeah, rightfully so. Because you look at the rest of it, not a whole lot jumps out that I think we need to go over.
No,
if we weren't up against a time limit with you being at the rink, and we could go a little further in depth. But I think the main and Sean O'Malley's the things to stick to.
Yeah, and nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
No, but you know what? Emily Whitmire is facing Polyana Viana, and that's the main early prelim on a women's strawweight fight. But I just always think it's cool that there's somebody named Polyana that fights in the UFC, and not only that, but her last name rhymes with her first. So I just think that I have no idea who's going to win that fight, except that it's probably going to be Emily Whitmire. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty
you watched
good.
the Wilder Fury fight?
Yeah,
that was fucking and all the bullshit coming out afterwards. The costume, have you seen the GIF for the video clip going around? People saying that Fury put weights in his gloves or some sort of solid object. Have you seen that bullshit?
No, I mean, come on.
That's no shit.
Idiotic.
I hate people taking away from this.
They never would have allowed that. They never would have, that wouldn't slip by. Something that obvious. It's,
Hell no.
Because of the type of jab that he throws that boxers have been throwing for a million years, and somebody slowed down a video thing and made it look like something it wasn't.
Yep. Yeah, Luke Thomas had the best explanation of how the costume may have weighed him down. It was wore his legs down because I guess Luke was in the Marines, and he was saying that when they do this thing where they have to fill their packs, he says it's called humping, and you have a backpack on you filled with supplies. He said the battery packs, they have to be tight against your spine, and heavier things need to be tight against your spine and stuff. If a costume designer's not thinking about this, the weight's not going to be evenly distributed or in the right places. And he was saying that because of that thing where Deontay Wilder said on Rogan's show about how he trains in a 45-pound vest all the time. And that's the difference. The vest is snug to your body, and it's strategically mapped out, the weights and where they are. That's why there's no weights in your armpits and shit, right? So that's the only explanation I've seen from anyone that could possibly make sense. And Luke wasn't even defending him. He was just giving some sort of logic to that excuse. But I mean, you know what? Don't wear a fucking 45-pound costume.
Right, it's plausible, but if you're gonna sign up and have all these things in your contract, then don't have a 45-minute walkout. Don't wear a 45-pound costume that you're going to be stuck with for a long time. I mean, it's the theater of the absurd, to be honest with you. You're getting how many millions of dollars for this fight, and it's something you're in complete control of. And I mean, maybe he's just, maybe they're making too much of it, and it's just Monday morning quarterbacking where he's just, looking at it and trying to figure out reasons why he wasn't sharp. But if he felt in the moment the thing was weighing him down, he could have just bailed. He could have just taken it off, and been you know what, fuck this, it's taking too long. I'm just going to do a regular walkout. I don't care. And if you can't do that, then you get what you reap what you sow at that point. I mean, look at Fury. He did completely the opposite. He got carried out on a throne. He didn't even walk out. He literally didn't even have a walkout. He was carried out. So, it's just, listen, I suppose that it's possible, right? I'm not saying it isn't, but but you're in control over it. You're the corporation. You're the guy, and you have handlers and everything. I mean, Mark Breland threw in the towel for him. Why couldn't Mark Breland maybe have said, dude, what are you doing? Don't wear a 45-pound costume for 45 minutes going out. You're going to lose your legs. I mean, I'm sure if anybody was going to say it to him, it probably would have been Mark Breland. He was the only guy that had the balls to actually throw in the towel.
Which was a very smart move.
I totally agree. Like, I mean, he probably did more to save that guy's career than anybody. And, you know, the other guy that was in the corner was saying, you know, he didn't want to do it. And Wilder was saying, oh, I wanted to go out on my shield and blah, 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 blah. Like, they're still disagreeing with it. I'm like, you know, listen, you should double whatever you're paying Mark Breland right now, because he's the only guy with some sense that's keeping you in it, you know. And of course they activated the clause in the contract to have the rematch, which will be in July. So, right, it's July, right? They said. July 18th, I think.
I'm not sure on the date. So, yeah, July.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people are saying, oh, you know, I don't want to see it a third time and whatever. I'm like, you didn't think you were going to see this a third time? Like knowing that clause is in the contract, and knowing that Wilder lost, like, what do you think he's going to do? Like, you think he's going to not exercise the clause that he had put in that contract? It doesn't matter if you want to see it again. And guess what? When the betting line comes out for that, which it might already be, you know, I think, Jay, everybody who's anybody after this fight was over, quote unquote, knew exactly what was going to happen. That, you know, Fury's a boxer and Wilder has no form and he's not really a boxer and he's just out there, you know, he's always just relied on this right hand and that's all he's got and whatever. Where the fuck were you before this fight saying it? And how come you're not retired on an island in the Caribbean right now with all the money that you made if you knew it was that obvious? Shut up. They could have a rematch, and Wilder could knock him out in the first round. Now, Fury will be a favorite this time, as opposed to being an underdog. But I mean, if he was an underdog and you didn't take him, and the fight was that obvious to you, then you know, you're worth nothing. Your opinion doesn't mean anything. The bottom line is, Fury is a better boxer, and Fury boxed his way into that victory because he fought a perfect fight. But now Wilder is going to see that Fury has to do that same game plan, because that's Fury's path to victory. And if he gets anywhere near that right hand, it's danger. I mean, like the first fight, right? Like Wilder and Fury were, you know, pretty much even. And if, you know, I mean, if Fury doesn't pull a miraculous, like, get up from being KO'd, like, then we're talking about a trilogy match here, you know, right? Like, I mean, it's that close. So anybody who says that it was, I mean, like, the way they talk about it afterward, like it was just a one-sided thing, and I mean, like, come on. The rematch, the three match, I guess you'll call it, since the first one was a draw, is you're going to watch it, and I'm going to watch it. And all these other people that say they're not interested, guess what? They're going to fucking watch it too. So, and I would not be surprised. You know what? If Wilder ends up being a big underdog in that fight, I might just take him because of the puncher's chance again. And maybe he has a chance to train and put himself in position where he's not going to get crowded upon. He's not going to get, you know, he's not going to get rushed. He's going to find a way to just create a little more space, a little. He only needs a little. Dude, he doesn't need a lot. He needs a little. He needs a smidgen of space to unleash that nuke. And, you know, fine. Like, that pissed me off. You know me. I don't go on rants, and maybe this counts as one, but God, I hope this thing recorded well, because that was brilliant.
On that note, we better wrap. Out on a high note, like George Costanza. There we go. I like the way the roles are reversed. That's awesome. First time ever.
I know. I let you have the, you know, it's nice being in the B seat every now and then.
It's alright being a shotgun, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Especially when I got a good driver like you.
Nice. So we're gonna have to do this again probably sooner than later. Probably Sunday or Monday after the fights. I don't know. We might even have to have you on before then.
All right. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. We got time. All right. So make sure you follow Rear Naked Choke Radio at RNC Radio. Follow Joe at Rear Naked Choke. Follow and subscribe Rear Naked Choke Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, all those places. Rear Naked Choke Radio is what you search for, and then click follow, subscribe, whatever the button is. Building Downtown at The Building DT, and on YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, all those places. It's Building Downtown. I'm Jason Kelly from Joe Rizzo. We out.
Building downtown. Building downtown. Building downtown. Building downtown.